Morning, everybody. Welcome to Lock Pod.
That was number 2.
This is the Midwest Most Dangerous Podcast, coming to you live. Episode 17, Season 15, Midwest Most Dangerous Podcast, coming to you live from the NECA IBEW Powering Indiana Lake County Studios.
I was not ready for that.
I know.
It's hot, man. And my air conditioning in the car is not working right enough.
Some people actually get that fixed.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
You should, dude.
You have so many problems with your bougie car.
No,
know, dude. You got a freaking
what
Audi.
What problem did I have?
You got an Audi. It's like a $100,000 car.
It's $100,000 miles is what the problem is. And that's the problem. I need a new Audi, but some people in my house say I don't. So,
oh boy,
are you the breadwinner?
Here we go.
Who knows? I don't even know what I am in my house
I'm shutting
anymore.
the fuck up.
The cats are in charge.
I'm shutting up.
Cats.
The cats are in charge.
Yeah.
The cats that live out in front.
Yes, the feral cats that live in my backyard are in charge.
Gonna get a Tesla, Kevin?
No Tesla on this. That
Pick
is not on
something
my
with
list.
a remote start at least.
Yes, I will.
You don't have. You have a remote start.
No, he
No,
doesn't.
they didn't have that.
Audi's
when I
not
got
big
it.
on
Yeah,
remote
they're
starts.
Not big on
And
it.
the fuck.
That
is going
was
on.
exactly my reaction when I found out.
Like what?
Ask John. John
They
knows
don't-
this.
Why would you do that to yourself?
They don't like remote starts over at Audi for some reason.
Well, don't
'Cause
get an
it's-
Audi.
It is cold over there. What's going on? I don't get it.
It is
Do
cold
you have a
over
remote
there.
start in your Shelby?
Yes.
Wow.
No, I don't. But my
Oh!
Shelby is only driven in the summer.
You don't have a
so-
remote car in your Shelby?
No,
Remote
because
start?
it's driven in the summer. It's not my year-round car.
Yeah, but if you start in the summer,
I don't.
You can put in the air conditioning on a remote start.
That's just true.
Also
I'm
true.
going to explain
It's
to the
amazing.
audience what's going on right now with this bickering. Before we went live,
Uh-huh.
Tom made a crude joke towards Kevin that he didn't find funny.
It's not
Not
true.
true.
And now
He
did
Kevin,
not
now
say
Kevin's getting him
He's
back.
salty still.
That's not
In
true.
case you don't understand what's going on in Lockpod land, Kevin came into the show salty
That
because
is not true.
I dropped
came
a
into
crude joke.
I
I'd have
came
been
into the
salty
show
if he would have did
helpful.
what you would have told him to do.
I
too.
know. I thought it was a funny joke.
I was coming in the show
Because
helpful.
Kevin was like, yeah, telling me what to do on our vacation. It's like 2 months away. He's like dictating my whole morning. And I'm like, hey, you could suck my, I'll let you decide what I said. And then we all started laughing. And then Kevin didn't laugh. He just
I
sat
was
there
just like,
quiet.
that
He was
joke's
pensive.
ridiculous.
I would never do that.
He was doing, like, I can't believe you said that to me. So we come into the show. Kevin's already pissed off because I
am
dropped a
not
crude
pissed.
joke.
I am not.
So, like,
pissed
I'll let you
off.
decide for yourself what's going on.
I am not
so.
pissed off.
In Tom's defense, Kevin was like 2 months from now, Kevin's like,
Yeah.
all right, Tom, when you get groceries
Yeah.
at 7:30 a.m.,
Yeah. And
take
then
the rental
you scoop
car.
us up and then you'll Uber back, right?
Kevin, I'm
Like,
also
what-
that person. I get you.
But, like,
you.
it's
I
so
I've
respect
already
you.
packed.
We're
I've
talking about
started
July
packing.
31st. It's not even freaking July 1st yet. He's dictating my whole morning.
I
know.
respect
It's
you,
almost
Kevin.
a month.
Thank you. And I apologize to Tom because I know that gets under his skin. When I
Yeah,
start
it gets
telling
under
him
my
what
skin
to do.
because that's a Navy
I don't even
thing.
want to say I apologize to him. I'm just like, I mean, he knows my personality, so he knows
Yes.
exactly what I'm doing. And he
But
knows
you also know
exactly
my
what I know
personality.
exactly, and he knows I'm definitely
One of the worst
irritating him.
things you could do to me, because I was in the Navy for 6 years, getting told what to do every goddamn second of my life. So I might be a little sensitive when people tell me what to do.
It's just funny. It's just a funny back and forth we have.
Like, don't tell me what to do.
Felix and what's
Instead
the
of-
other guy's name?
yeah.
The Odd Couple.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Oscar.
There you go.
I've described Kevin and I like the Odd Couple plenty of times in my life. It's funny.
We've got by the way, we got a great show coming up.
Yes.
We're going to do a half and half show today, so the ads are going to be in the middle, and we've got talk about some bipartisanship that's needed in this state, this
Yes.
country.
Lock
We've
pot.
got Representative Mike Andrade and Representative Kyle Pierce, both coming in right after probably
Republican
about
and
8:15.
Democrat.
Yeah, talking a little bit about Indiana politics and also just about everything in and about.
Kyle's
Indiana.
from Anderson, Indiana. He's a
Yes.
Republican from Republican from Anderson, excuse me. And then, of course, Mike Andrade's multiple appearance on this show. He's a Democrat from Munster. So,
It's going to be fun, so
bipartisanship.
stay tuned for that. It's
hey,
gonna
I
be
listened to your show the other day. I apologize about Friday, guys. I had a family situation come up that I can't talk about. But I did it. Part of me being here has to be I have to feel funny, and I did not feel funny that day.
great. You feel funny today.
I do, but I did not feel funny that day.
Well, we had Forite and Cantrell on, and they were Forite was
It was good.
Forite zone,
You actually were doing a good job of keeping him.
reining him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trying.
The first segment, he was stomping on people, talking over him and stuff. It seemed like it calmed down after that.
He was great. It was good to see him.
No, it was a great show, man. I got to see Forite that day also. I got to talk to him a lot, and he's got a lot going on, so it was good to see him.
Well, you had a busy weekend.
I did. I listened to your show as I was driving out to Warsaw, Indiana, and listened to the whole show. I kept keeping my lock pod streak alive at whatever
400 and whatever.
how many
I don't
episodes
even
we
know.
have. But
A lot.
yeah, I did a
Some may say too
triathlon.
many.
You know where Lake Winona is, Kevin?
I just know it's in central Indiana. Let's just call that. I don't
I
know
would call
exactly
it
where
more
it is.
central east.
Okay.
It's like It's out towards
Yeah, like
Fort
north
Wayne.
central. Right,
Half
right.
hour from Fort Wayne.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, I didn't know it was that far east.
40 minutes from Fort
Okay,
Wayne.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Lake Winona, pretty big lake. It's like, I'd put it probably about the same size as Culver. So it's decent.
Oh, wow.
Lake Massachusetts, whatever.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I always think of like Lake Wawasee out there. That's what I always think of as like the lake out that way. But
Have you ever been
Winona?
out there, Joe?
No.
You get around.
Maybe Kyle Pierce will know about Lake Winona,
Yeah,
Well,
I
you do. You travel a lot.
I
right?
do. Not in Indiana.
What's that?
I said maybe Representative Pierce will know all about Lake
Oh,
Winona.
he will. He
All right.
will. Yeah.
So
But,
you were out there.
Yeah, dude. It was Saturday morning. I was super stressed because they said I checked the water temperature, which is
I
my
love
biggest.
this picture, by the way.
That was before, obviously. That was at my rack.
Got that, John?
See how I store my bike? I love how I store it, and then I just pull it off and go straight through. But well, the water temperature was 67, like the week before the try, and when I checked, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, I'm gonna need a wetsuit for that, right?"
Is that cold?
Yeah.
With no
Okay.
wetsuit, it's
Water.
freezing balls. Yeah.
Okay.
But so I went out there. I had my wetsuit, and I noticed nobody else was wearing wetsuits, so I went into the lake, and it was 76.
No
So
problem.
The heat wave last week. picked
Plus,
it
I mean,
up.
not wearing a wetsuit got to help you with transition time, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
So I didn't wear a wetsuit, and it was comfortable. It was weird though. It was like a lake with
But I mean,
seaweed.
Saturday was hot.
So it was
what time did
kinda-
it start?
By the time I finished, what's that, Joe?
So it was a clean lake.
It was. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think it
there's
was
seaweed
like.
and stuff. There's stuff growing. In
Yeah,
it, so
there was seaweed, but it was murky.
healthy.
It was really brown. Like I could not see the bottom very well. Like on most of the swim, I couldn't see the bottom. But I had like seaweed getting caught in my face mask. I had to pull it off my face.
You should have ate it. It's really healthy.
Really?
There you go. Get a little
I wasn't really
protein in the
thinking about
morning.
that.
A little boost.
Yeah, but it was cool. So the hills and the bike ride were a bitch.
What time-
It was like
you
a
know-
long uphill.
I just thought a Saturday was being pretty hot. What time did you start?
I started at 8 a.m.
8
Eastern
a.m.
time.
Eastern, so 7 here. Okay.
But when I finished, it was 90 degrees
Oof.
when I came in on the run. So like, there's a lot of hills out
That
there.
sounds awful.
There he is.
Every part of that sounds awful.
Joe,
So
look at that
the
shirt
bike
he's wearing.
ride, the bike ride. Yeah, Jill, did you notice the shirt I was
I
wearing?
sure did.
Yeah, Jill designed that shirt. I love that one. It's I picked it for a lot of reasons because it's cool. It looks like my normal Hawaiian shirts, and it's very, very light, Jill. It's light colored and it's very light on me, and it's a little bit bigger than, so it's a good try shirt for me because I can put all my stuff in there, and I basically put that on for the bike. What you're seeing me
and
in,
then and then
everything
ran
I'm
it.
wearing, I wore on the bike. The only thing I changed was my shoes. So it takes a lot of planning, trying to figure out how to run a try and get your transitions down.
You look pretty good for doing a try.
Yeah.
Right there at
In
the
a
end.
heat wave.
Yeah, and being in a heat wave, right?
Yeah, I was hurting on the run, man. By the time I finished, I was really goddamn glad it was over. And this is only a sprint, by the way. I'm training for my Olympic. I want to do Chicago at the end of the summer.
Oof.
Nice.
I am not ready for Chicago. I can tell you that right now.
Do you have more sprints in your future?
Yeah, I'm going to do probably 3 or 4 more
Nice.
before Chicago, and I'll be ready for Chicago
Well,
by the end of
congrats.
the summer.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
congrats.
Good
Appreciate
job.
it.
Awesome.
What are you snacking on during this try? I'm just
I
curious.
ate. I had 2 apples on me and 2 bananas. So I ate both of the bananas before, and I ate the bananas for cramps. And as soon as I hit the water, I cramped. I mean,
Wow.
10 freaking seconds into my swim, my toes started pointing the wrong way, and I was fighting it the
No.
whole swim. I was sitting there pushing on it. I had to stop a couple times and pull on my toe. I'm literally like, my toes are going to opposite directions. And it's so much of a pain in the ass. And the scary thing about those cramps is I've had them before where they start in your toes, and if you don't address it, it'll be
Come
your
up
whole
your
fucking
leg.
leg.
Yeah.
Your whole leg will be cramped, and you'll be done.
That'd be
And by the
bad.
way, this lake was not shallow. So I'm out there in a lake like, damn, dude, my freaking toes are cramping up bad, right? And I'm
Come on, toes.
I'm looking at the
Let's
safety
go.
swimmers like, where are they? Are they far away? Because
Yeah.
like, if this gets bad, I'm going down.
Yeah,
You know?
that's cool. Well,
Does
good.
that fruit not get bruised though? Because
Oh, it's not
that'd be a
ideal.
no for me.
It's not ideal for
Yeah, I
you.
mean, I'm carrying it in the back of my sweaty ass, basically. So
And you do the apples on the ride usually, right?
I eat the apples on
Yeah.
the ride,
I've seen you
but
do
it's
that.
really appetizing. when you're-
warm and
It was like 90 degrees, and I'm on a bike sweating, and I'm eating these really cool, refreshing apples. Oh, it's so good. So by the time I stop my bike, I'm actually sort of full. And I do that on purpose. I drink as much as I can on the bike, and then I eat as much as I can so that when I start the run, I'm trying to like be as fresh as possible. So
Well, let's. I know you ran into somebody you want to talk about.
Yes.
Let's
This
go
was
to
cool.
that, John. This is a
lock
flyer.
potter.
This is
Yeah.
really cool.
This is cool, man. I'm at DeMott, Indiana over the weekend at a graduation party for a family member. And while I'm out there, there's a food truck, and, I have like multiple stops this day, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to grab a couple tacos. It's right here. It wasn't very crowded. And the taco stand, the party was huge, but the taco stand was there. And I'm like, somebody's like, hey man, I think those guys are from Hammond. I'm like, cool. Actually, no, excuse me. Nobody says that. I walk up. and his dude is looking at me weird.
Is he working the grad party, or is he just?
Yeah, the taco truck's at the grad
Gotcha,
party,
okay.
and the dude's in there. The lady that takes my order is taking my order, and then there's a dude just like staring me down,
Okay.
and I'm like,
What did I do?
it's weird. I was like, I'm in Demott, so I'm not even like prepared to be recognized, but I'm just like, this dude like stare, like I didn't know what was going on. Maybe he had a problem with me or something. And he's looking at me weird, and I'm like, pork tacos, like, do you guys not have that, right? And the dude's like,
on like weekend mode. He's like, I don't want to
Yeah.
be mayor right now.
I'm like,
He's like, this guy's gonna come at me.
I
It's gonna
didn't
be
know
a-
what, because he had like a weird look, and he's like, I'm sorry. It was like after about a minute of awkwardness, he's just like, I'm just sorry, man. I just wasn't prepared to meet you here like this. And I was
Wow.
like, oh, it just hit me. I'm like, oh, okay, he knows who I am, right? I'm like, hey, what's up? Where are you from? He's like, we're from Hessville. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, God damn, what the hell are you doing way out here? And I'm like, I'm ordering for sure from you guys now, because if you're from Hammond, you know the Mexican food's going to rock, right?
Yeah.
And it did. Holy crap. So this Cecil Street food truck, I want to say thank you. By the way, he pointed out that he's a every episode LockPod listener.
Nice.
No
Yeah,
way.
he was
That is
like
great.
named all of us off. He was like a fan
Damn.
of the
Branded.
show.
Love
and
it.
like freaked out when I walked up. Like, it was cool, man. So I want to say thanks to Cecil and his food truck. Thanks for listening to LockPod. I also gave the information for this food truck to
Juan Soto.
Eileen and to Juan Soto
Yeah.
And to Raquel.
and to Raquel. So
Yeah.
we have food truck opportunities, and if you're a Lockpodder and you see us out in public, come up and say hi, and we'll mention you on the show.
And by the way, there's the information for the Cecil food truck right there. You can go on Facebook, or there's a phone number there, 219. What is that, John? 219.
219-281-9419.
All right, cool.
By the way, he mentioned that he's from Hessville and he supports the Governor's Parkway Bridge. He's
Oh,
like, I am not a
nice.
dune duster. I'm like, thanks, brother.
All right, well, since we promoted him, we'll send him a bill for our...
Yeah,
That's
right.
It'll be Steve,
It's
please
a
get on
smooth
that.
1,000 for if no package mentions on the show, right?
Speaking of really cool things that are coming up, I saw Eileen yesterday, and she mentioned that Festival of the Lakes is a mere 23 days away.
Yes.
Oof. That is...
Come on. Did you see that
It'll be here before
Akon
we
made a
know it.
video for us?
I only because you posted it on our pre-show note, but
Isn't
this
that
is
cool?
cool. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I know annually, we, when we're doing things for the fest, Eileen always asks the acts, hey, can you do a drop? And it seems like we do get some drops from some people, including,
Damn, he gets shot up before he took
Dude,
that
I was gonna
picture?
say.
Jesus Christ.
He's got like bullet holes in his shirt.
I think that's just, maybe it's just,
He paid for
This
that.
is the cool thing, man.
Is it?
wow.
Yeah.
There's like bullet holes in his shirt. It looks like three bullets.
Distressed. It's a distressed shirt.
We can
Why
make
is there
those.
three-
No,
can
there's
make
holes
holes.
all over.
There's more. There's
There's
one
all
there.
over.
There's one
There's on the
there.
neck,
There's one
there's on
there.
the
It looks like
arm.
somebody shot him in the chest.
No.
Look at there's
No
three
one shot
bullet
him.
holes right in his
No one
chest.
shot him.
Why can't they be tears? Why do they have to be bullet
It
holes?
looks like bullet
They're
holes.
pretty round.
I don't know. I didn't even think of that.
Okay.
That's the first thing I thought of. Like, first off, he's a very wealthy rapper. First off, he made a really nice video. So
And one of our former guests on the show, Ren, helped get this, I think, right?
yeah,
there.
Ren was a former guest, and Ren does acts for us every year. And yeah, he gets every year. It seems like he gets these specialized Festival of the Lakes advertisements. So let's play this one.
Hey, what's going on, Hammond, Northwest Indiana? That's right, it's your boy Akon, and you already know July 18th on Friday, I'll be there live at the Festival of the Lakes. Oh, it's about to go stupid, man. I can't wait to see my fans go crazy out there. And big shouts to Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr.
Whoa.
Listen, man, thanks for making this happen. I promise you, it's about to be something serious. I hope you're ready, baby. Peace.
That's so cool. And
Yeah,
he
man.
ca-
I take it back about the shirt.
calls you out.
Yeah,
like
that's
everything.
awesome.
They usually don't do that.
That was really cool.
La Arrayadora, the Sunday act, they did one also.
No
Oh.
way.
Yeah, you just can't understand it.
We'll have
Unless
to
you
play that
speak
next
Spanish.
time.
Well, if
Yeah.
you speak Spanish, you're
Yeah.
all over it. All right, let's do
I
that
can't
one
understand
next.
it. I think my name was in that one too.
This
They say,
is-
Alcalde Tomas McDermott. I heard that part.
and
then
you're like, oh, me.
those are the three words I understood in the whole thing. I was like, whoa, they mentioned me.
I love how he's just in like a Target parking
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
He's hanging
With a
out.
torn up
Picked up
shirt.
some groceries.
Where do you think he lives?
He's on the list. He's on the grocery list, Kevin.
Without
Yes, he
knowing
is.
where he lives. Let's guess where he lives.
He could be just on tour.
Based on this?
No, he's wearing I'm a home shirt. That's his.
No, that is an expensive ass shirt.
Is it really?
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
With the
I'm
tears
sure
in
it
it?
is.
Son of a
I'm
gun.
sure
I'm going to have
it
to ask
is.
him when he comes here. All right, I'm going to say Southern California. It looks
I was
very-
going to say Southern
No,
California, but
you
the
know what?
trees
I
give
agree
it.
with you, Kev.
It's not.
Okay, I'm going to
Southern
say
California
Atlanta. I'm
trees.
changing. I'm Atlanta.
Okay.
Atlanta.
Somewhere in the South. Yeah.
I was going to say like North Carolina.
Because if it was
or
California, you're right. There'd be palm trees.
something. Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's crystal clear skies.
We'll have
Maybe
to
he's in
have Ren-
Florida.
Maybe
No,
Ren will tell us.
Florida?
No, Florida, same thing.
Florida has
I
fog.
think
All
it's
right.
like Atlanta, Georgia, or
All right. Could you do me a favor, John?
Yeah.
Could you reach out to Ren and ask him
He's
where
usually
he,
in chat.
How
where
about I
did he
just-
where did Akon film this?
But also, when did he film it? Because
Yeah. It was
like
he's
last
not. Okay, well, he's not sweating. He's got a sweatshirt on. So
It's a sweatshirt?
looks like it.
I mean, I would say it's a sweatshirt.
I mean,
think
it's got a
it's-
lot of holes. It's ventilated, but I think
It's a ventilated sweatshirt. We could. By the way, we spent 10 minutes on this
Yeah, we did.
video.
I want somebody in chat to identify that sweatshirt.
Let's
So-
see where he lives, man. I'm
Google.
gonna figure this out. Here.
Oh,
He's
John the detective's on.
yeah, I'm on it.
Good.
He's on it.
Okay.
And personal life.
Well, World War III started over the weekend.
Oh, he's a polygamist.
Hopefully not.
He's
but-
a polygamist.
yeah, he
Wow.
doesn't
6
like-
children,
He doesn't like women that much.
3
He's not
women.
nice to them.
that are.
So hold it. That
Wait,
means
he's married
Allegedly.
to 3.
Is
No,
that
no.
what
He's currently with 3 women, and he has
Okay.
great relationships. Wow. All right. Interesting.
does he, okay, so I'm going to change the location to Utah.
Could be.
In December, as of
Salt Lake
December
City?
22,
He's
he
in
had
Salt Lake City.
9 children and 4 wives.
Good for him.
Look out, Elon.
I like.
What
I mean,
the-
good job.
Akon
Akon.
owned a diamond mine in South Africa. This is a very fascinating character.
That's like Kevin and I talked about diamond mines for a long time, and that was a euphemism for us, right?
Wait,
Yeah.
Is this the right
It was like-
Akon? Yeah. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
him.
That's
more
him.
than one.
Yeah.
Wow, look
Wow.
at his name.
Anytime you're going by one word names, you're doing it well.
Yeah, but I mean, look at his name. It's really long.
Who else goes by one word? Prince,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and he's
Madonna.
kind of a legend.
Madonna, right?
Cher.
Lady
Cher.
Gaga. Does that count?
No, that's 2 words,
Elon.
dude. Gaga could be even 3 words if you think it. Lady Gaga.
Gaga. All right.
All right, no, Akon.
Taylor Swift. 2 words.
Yep.
Is all his wives going to be with him at the show?
We don't know.
They're not wives, dude. That'd be illegal.
Right.
They're just good friends.
I think the rule is if you have multiple wives, you just have to treat them all the same. Like if you buy a car for one, you have to buy 4 cars.
Yes.
That doesn't
Yes.
happen. There's
think
always
that's-
a top dog.
So if you're using one name, you're doing well. If you have multiple wives, you're doing pretty
great.
well too,
Yeah,
right?
these are
Oh,
all.
you
So-
want to deal with 3 women? I don't know about that.
Apparently, Akon does.
And does it well.
Yeah.
According to Wikipedia.
I'm gonna have to
Yes,
talk to him
we'll
about
have to
this.
ask him about this.
How do you pull this off, Akon?
He's on tour all the time.
And you,
That's
so you
true.
have some great conversational pieces for Akon already. You got to ask him about his shirt.
Yes.
You got to ask him about his 4 wives.
Uh-huh.
And how do you get one name out of that long name? That's pretty. How do you pull this off?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's gonna
How
be
do
fun.
you
Well, that's
not, though? Like, how do you go around with that gigantic name? You have to shorten it.
that's true. And why not choose Akon?
See,
Why not?
It's a
I don't
cool
have
name.
any one name thing going. The mayor. That's 2.
Yeah, Mayor.
Tom?
Locomotive, I guess.
All right, chat's on it. He lives in Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Freaking lame.
Georgia.
Tom.
Tom, you said Atlanta, so I'm sure you're close.
Sandy Springs.
Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Okay.
By the way,
That would be a W for me.
just a quick thing before we move on to World War III potential is go to festivallakes.com and get your
Before World War III, get your Festival of Lakes tickets,
get your
please.
VIP experience passes.
We don't want
They're
red
available
ink. We don't
right
want
now.
red ink going
That's
into
right. That's right.
Armageddon. You know
By the
what
way,
I'm saying?
prices do go up July 1st, so get on there now and get your VIP experience passes for the shows you want to go see, including Akon on Friday, July 18th.
And one more thing. Shout out in chat to Cheryl Varga, who says, Tom, will you run for governor again?
Yes. Again. I will. Again. I will run for governor.
Thank you,
That's part of the
Cheryl.
reason we lost when we ran for
You know
Senate. We weren't very clear about what office I was seeking.
I think Cheryl wrote you in. That's what she means.
Yeah,
like
really.
I voted
Thank
for
you,
you.
Cheryl. Love you.
That's
I
gotta
will
be-
run for governor again.
Best chat ever.
Thank you,
I
Cheryl.
love chat.
It is hard to keep track.
It is.
It
dude.
is at this point.
I was very vague when I was running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get down to the business at hand. This conflict between Israel and Iran obviously trickled over to the U.S. when President Trump. When we left the air on Friday, President Trump had just announced that he was going to try to work on a diplomatic solution for 2 weeks.
That's when you know you're fucked.
And then apparently, yes, from now on, I'll know that. And then he kind of
He chickened
did a
out
little
of
bait and
diplomacy.
switch. Yeah, right.
Trump always
chickened out,
chickens out.
or just already had made the decision because by I think it was Saturday evening, Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Saturday night.
Yeah,
Saturday
we were
night,
at the Taylor Swift concert.
right,
Fake Taylor.
and we had heard an announcement that evening that B-2 bombers, stealth bombers, had dropped bunker buster bombs. 125 aircraft. They had like a decoy of B-2 bombers going to Guam and landing in Guam hours earlier than they threw everybody else out to the east. And next thing you know, 3 nuclear sites in Iran are bunker busted, and everybody got home safely. Not a shot fired. So it's an interest. And then, by the way,
It was limited to those 3 sites.
It was limited to those 3 sites. Iran yesterday did like a little get back at the U.S., even though they called them and let them know, and they tried to bomb, some sites in Qatar, some military sites. All the missiles were intercepted. No one was hurt.
What do you make of that, Kevin? And Tom, I guess Iran's response has been so
muted,
fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
They've been dismantled though. Like
they're playing the long game.
I think they are.
You gotta wonder.
I think they've been exposed a little bit. I think Iran or Israel really has exposed them. I mean, the thing that concerns me are like their ability to activate like these sleeper cells, or like that there might be people in and around America or wherever that they could activate. That's to me their biggest threat to people, because that's where we get most afraid, is where it impacts civilians and people, and like even on our soil. Right, 9/11 was no fun. But this is interesting. I mean, I went back and forth on this. I really did, about the bombing. At first, I was pissed, and then because I thought like Trump kind of lied about the 2 weeks. But something, I can't remember who said this over the weekend, but somebody said, "Do you want to deal with Iran with a bomb or without a bomb?" Now, I don't know how close they were, but I definitely want to deal with Iran without a bomb. Mm-hmm. I guess.
Agreed.
And I don't know. I hope it's limited. I hope this is it. But I don't know, John. I know you had some thoughts on this, and I know some other people, and we'll get to this in a minute, but I just want to at least talk about what's going on right now as well.
I'm just not really sure what the heck happened over the past 12 days. It's just wild.
It is wild. Yeah.
The way I see it, we got pulled into this by Bibi. If you believe what Trump said when Israel attacked Iran in the first place, Trump said America had nothing to do with it, right?
Yep.
And then Israel completely obliterates Iran's air defense system, and then all of a sudden there's this amazing opportunity to use the bunker busters with no air defense system, and then Trump was like, okay, this is a great opportunity to bomb these nuclear sites.
Tom,
but the bottom line is we got pulled into this by Israel. Israel attacks Iran and then disables them and then says, America, this is a great time for you to jump in, which means Bibi is in charge of the president.
Well, I think, obviously we have a great
case.
alliance with Israel. I think this is, I think you hit it on the head, though. The opportunity, I'm sure there were multiple, the generals gave the president multiple different options, right? But to me, you've got a country that seems to be slow rolling us. Like, you don't know what's they're like, oh yeah, we don't have a bomb, don't worry, or maybe we do. And I just felt like we were getting slow rolled. And I bet that one of the options was, look, Mr. President, these air defenses are down. We think we can safely get in there, get everybody out safely, and make an impact on impacting their nuclear desires for years, maybe more. And given that situation, I in a way, I feel like he made the right call.
I think he made the right call.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to say. I mean, it's tough because I don't want war. I definitely don't want war, and I hope this doesn't go into war. I mean, Trump yesterday declared on his own a ceasefire, which was really interesting to me.
They're sticking to it.
Well, this morning...
They're sticking to it. Nobody's fired any missiles yet.
So this morning, Trump kind of threw down at Bibi, and I think he called him and said basically, "Oh, he was pissed this morning. This is before, so he's leaving for NATO.
He's like, I got golf.
He's leaving
18 holes.
He's leaving for the Netherlands this morning to attend the NATO summit, and this was him in kind of an expletive laden situation here when he was leaving.
Well, and here's the context here: is this ceasefire is supposed to begin? And Trump's getting word that Bibi, Israel, whatever, is launching a ton of missiles at Iran before the ceasefire. And Iran supposedly launched one as well that didn't hit anything.
And it seems like Iran's the one that's holding the ceasefire better than Israel, and I think that pisses Trump off.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to the peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have a response to Iran?
I like how politicians are cussing now. It makes me feel better.
You led the way.
I did.
Well, but I mean, I think I think the one thing about this is it's obvious that Trump's pissed at Bibi.
Why? Because he dropped the F-bomb.
I think just him saying that, like, look, 1 hour after we get this going, they're like, oh, we better hurry up and bomb Iran as much as we can because we only got a little bit of time. And I think he's like, look, I want this ceasefire to stick because at the end of the day, that's what's best for this situation because he doesn't want to stay involved.
That's a cool picture of Trump, actually.
That is a good one.
And his hair definitely has changed colors. He changed it to like
a blonde,
blonde.
like a blonde.
He's like
silver.
a Beach Boy.
I think there is something to. I think you're right, Kevin. I think Trump is pissed, and I think it's with mainly Israel.
I agree.
To what Tom was saying, I think Netanyahu has kind of been.
Yeah,
I don't know, strong-arming
playing him a bit.
Yeah, he is. Netanyahu does whatever he wants, and then America, because we're such quote unquote great allies to Israel, follow suit. Yeah, but they're pulling us into a war with Iran. Yeah. Netanyahu is.
Yeah, and
he bombs them. Trump says we're not part of this Iran, and then all of a sudden Trump drops the bunker busters, which tells me Netanyahu is the one that's playing this whole thing.
Yeah,
it's really interesting because I think at the end of the day he feels like. I think Netanyahu feels as long as he can stroke Trump's ego, that Trump will be fine. And I think this is Trump kind of saying like, "Hey, man,
enough's enough."
Yeah, enough's enough.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And by the way, there's definitely this is another what we wanted to get to before we get to. And by the way, stick around again for Representatives Pierce and Representative Andrade who are coming in right around 8:15. There's definitely a fracture within the Republican Party over what's going on. We saw a little bit about it on Friday with Tucker Carlson's interview with Ted Cruz last week. But this came up last Friday, John, with Representative Massie of Kentucky, who is one of the, I want to say, really big MAGA stars, right, John?
He's one of the few remaining patriots. Yeah, one of the few.
And he went after Trump online about what was going on in the Middle East. And here's one of the tweets he put out. I think he said, John, you got that up there?
Yep.
Here it is. This is not America first, folks. This is Congressman Massie from Kentucky. When Trump posted, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? And then he says,
MAGA?
Yeah, make Iran great again. So then Massie says, this is not America first, folks. And that was after he had posted something about the bombing when, do you have that photo, John? When Massie says, this is not constitutional, talking about Trump's tweet that he mentioned about the successful bombing of Iran. And then he and a Democrat, Ro Khanna from California,
right,
started a joint resolution, a War Powers resolution that has 57 co-sponsors, and he's trying to get that a hearing in the House, and so he's got that going, and then Trump just went off on him. John, you want to what?
So this is a very long truth post from Trump, but this is a direct quote from it. MAGA should drop this pathetic loser Tom Massie like the plague. And Trump has since launched a MAGA PAC to primary Massie, one of how many Congress people in the country, because Trump just didn't like something he said on the news.
Yeah, and he said this was other stuff he said about him. He said he's a negative force who almost always votes no matter how good something may be. He's a simple-minded grandstander who thinks it's good politics for Iran to have the highest level nuclear weapon.
Right.
Yeah. So he and Massie, and then MTG. I mean, she went off. Did you see this post?
Yeah, but do you guys understand, our listeners, how popular Massie is with the MAGA base?
I do not.
This is a fight I don't know why Trump is picking, because he's going to fracture the Republican Party more than it is now with this Massie fight.
And MTG is on the side of Massie, it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, she posts this long thing about basically... This is crazy. I saw this yesterday. Tom and I looked at this. It's nuts. Yeah. I spent millions of my own money and traveled the entire country campaigning for President Trump and his MAGA agenda and his promises. And Trump's MAGA agenda included these three key promises: no more foreign wars, no more regime change, world peace. And this is what people voted for. Only 6 months in, and we're back into foreign wars, regime change, and World War III. Wow.
Yeah,
it feels like a complete bait and switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's going off on him.
That's how a lot of Republicans feel right now. So
How do we sign up for one of these regime changes here?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. This
you're
is
sick of the
bad for
locomotive?
the Republican Party.
There's a couple comments. Like Trump says, I've never seen more bombs than Israel did. But first off, I want to point out, like, I'm a veteran, okay? And I've never seen any bombs in my life, but I served 6 years on a submarine. I played cards on top of bombs, right? I'd like to point out that I think a lot of veterans look at Donald Trump and he's trying to act like this manly man. I'm a man. I'm the commander in chief. You're such a coward. He seems like such a little pussy to me. No offense, okay? Like when it was his time to serve, where was he? He fucking bailed. He's a coward. And now he's the president. He wants to act like he's this big military guy. You're a fucking coward, Donald Trump. Let's just be honest, okay? That's how I feel when I see him, and I don't think I'm the only veteran that feels that way.
I'm sure, I'm not a veteran, Tom, and obviously I respect every minute you served under the water and on top of the water and for the Navy for 6 years. And I'm curious. It's interesting to hear that angle from you as a veteran.
It makes me, it infuriates me. And I see other politicians do it, and that infuriates me also. But like Donald Trump, you fucking coward. When you were of age during Vietnam and you had freaking shin splints. Fuck off.
Or bone spurs.
Oh, is that what happened?
Bone spurs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, any doctor back then, if you were rich enough, you can get a doctor to say you had bone spurs.
Interesting.
He's a fucking coward. Wow. And now he's the commander-in-chief. I'm not supposed to say that. I'll probably get thrown in fucking jail because there's no First Amendment anymore either.
Well,
fucking dictator.
It's interesting to me to see how different people react to Trump. And this was the first time where I really felt that the decision he made was actually, I think, good for diplomacy and
I'm glad he did it.
Foreign policy.
I think he's a coward, though. But I'm glad he dropped the bunker. I'm glad our servicemen and women that are risking their lives serving our country dropped the bunker busters. It wasn't Donald Trump's fat ass, I can tell you that. His ass was sitting at home watching TV.
He had a MAGA hat on watching it in the control room.
He's a fucking coward, dude.
Well,
it's hard to respect this guy.
I think at the end of the day, looking at it as an American, I really did a switch. I mean, I really did kind of be like, all right, you know what? Look at this objectively, Kevin. Don't look at this subjectively through the eyes of like, I'm not a Donald Trump fan or whatever. I was like, you know what? I think they made the right call.
He did.
So,
Joe, John, you're on the fence?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yes.
2 Democrats think you made the right move. Joe, where are you?
On the fence is putting it
is
lightly.
there proof that those were actually like nuclear?
They're enrichment sites.
For sure they are enrichment sites. Now, whether
don't
we
know how
damaged
close
them
they were,
beyond,
right?
I don't even know if we damaged them, or they say we damaged them. I don't know. I would assume we did some damage to them.
We put like 30 bombs in.
And they said they might have trucked your enriched uranium out of there
a
couple days before. So who knows? But I mean, I think at least.
So where are you, Joe?
I mean, was there proof that before we did this?
No.
That's what I'm asking. Like,
No.
So
Proof of what?
Proof
that
of
they were
like,
close.
Yeah, that they were close. That there was a need for this.
Depends on who you ask.
That's
They could have
Gabbard? No.
They could have been real close. They could have been a couple years away. Okay.
I don't know.
They've been really close for 30 years.
Yeah,
Agree.
I mean,
Eventually they're going to get it. And then we got once they actually
They're just about there.
Once they actually get to that point where they actually are making nuclear weapons, then we got problems, right?
Right.
So like if they're not there yet, I think Trump made the right move.
It goes back to what I was saying. Do you want to deal with Iran with a bomb or without a bomb?
Right.
I'm on the without
It's just
a bomb.
weird. That's a weird dynamic though, because we got the Republican in here that's normally supportive of President Trump. He's against this. Jill is neutral.
And there's a
Kevin
lot of
and I-
MAGA people that are against it.
2 Democrats are like, great job.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a weird
I just hope
freaking
I just
fallout,
hope
right?
it stops. I want it to stop. I hope the ceasefire holds. I hope Trump's right about the ceasefire.
He's
and
trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize. You know that.
He was. Wait, somebody just said they nominated him for it, and then the next day they who did, John?
I think it was Pakistan.
Pakistan, and then the next day they criticized the bombing. They nominated him on like Friday, and then Saturday he bombed Iran, which he said was for peace.
Yeah.
By the way, so
isn't Iran allied with like Russia and
Yes.
China?
Yes.
In China.
Well, so that's interesting, Jill. So that was another thing I pointed out in the notes. Middle East, not a peep from anybody. China, not a peep. North Korea, not a peep. Russia, hey, we don't really think it was great, but we're working. We want to protect the people of Iran. That was it. Iran was on like an island. Hezbollah, nothing. So that is really interesting diplomacy. All right. One last thing here. I just didn't want to leave MTG off the list without hearing from her. We already read her tweet, but this was heard last week calling for the speaker's resignation.
Johnson regularly chooses to ally himself with Democrats. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives
Gentlewoman will suspend. The House will be in order. Gentlewoman's recognized.
Resolved that the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives is hereby declared to be vacant.
The yeas are 359, the nays are 43, with 7 answering present. The motion is adopted without objection.
That
the
was
motion
to
to
table
reconsider.
her motion, so it's to table her motion, not to grant it. But
Right.
Yeah, and then Johnson went off and said this. It was real short.
Laid on the table.
Hopefully, this is the end of the personality politics and the frivolous character assassination that has defined the 118th Congress. It's regrettable. It's not who we are as Americans, and we're better than this. We need to get beyond it. The Speaker of the House serves the whole House. That's the job, everybody. But I am a lifelong movement conservative Republican, and I intend to continue to govern.
So here's the big beautiful bill, which adds $10 trillion to the deficit.
And
I'm a
he
conservative.
likes to watch, he likes to monitor his son's porn, so we know that about him.
That's right.
All right,
Man.
let's do some ads. Stick with us, Lock Potters. We've got Representative Kyle Pierce coming in from Anderson, along with Representative Mike Andrade coming in just a second. The mayor's going to go get him. We're going to do ads here, and then we're going to be back with 2 great representatives from our state of Indiana.
All right, let's start with Powering Indiana Lake County, our premier and studio sponsor. Powering Indiana Lake County is your source for the region's most trusted electricians. At Powering Indiana Lake County, we set the standard for excellence in electrical work. As IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors, we ensure safety, reliability, and quality for Northwest Indiana corporations, businesses, and homes alike. But our mission goes beyond the job site. We're creating a brighter future for the region we proudly serve. Powering Indiana Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community. Find the right electrical contractor at poweringindiana.org.
Misprint Printing. Elevate your brand of Misprint, the premier printing and sign solution in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana with a 30-year legacy of excellence. Their experienced team, led by Rick Baltonsberger, combines innovation and technology to deliver top-quality signs and printing always on time and within budget. Conveniently located in Munster and Hammond, Misprint is your partner for creating impactful visual solutions that leave a lasting impression. Visit them at misprintusa.com to bring your vision to life today.
Cantrell and Cantrell, attorneys at law. Are you injured or in trouble with the law? Give Cantrell and Cantrell a call and schedule your consultation with someone who's in the court and at the jail every day. Call John Cantrell at 219-554-4LAW or visit their website at bettercallcantrell.com. John and his wife Kristen make a great team and are waiting to hear from you.
The Bug Guys Pest Control, firefighter-owned, pest-destroying professionals. We don't just fight fires, we fight bugs with bad attitudes. We bring justice to creepy crawlers. No contracts, no mercy, just bug-busting, home-protecting, creepy-crawly-crushing service, serving all of Northwest Indiana. Call Brian or Craig today for your free estimate, 219-810-7481. The Bug Guys, making your house a no-fly zone since, well, now.
Byway Brewing is a family-friendly microbrewery with a spacious tap room and outdoor patio, serving its award-winning craft beer, a chef-driven food menu, and craft cocktails on draft. Their brewing equipment and production facility offer you a unique backdrop for events like bridal showers, reunions, or corporate parties. With their new food truck, they can cater to your corporate and private events off-site, just off of 8094 at the Kennedy Avenue South exit. Discover more at bywaybrewing.beer.
The branding room floor. Don't let your business get lost in the shuffle of generic branding and aimless marketing. Trust Northwest Indiana's award-winning full-service marketing agency, The Branding Room Floor. Providing data-driven results to help your business grow in a crowded market is their specialty. From website development and digital advertising to graphic design and branding, The Branding Room Floor will set your business or organization on a clear path to strategic success. Don't wait another day to get started. Visit thebrandingroomfloor.com today.
Pressemer Insurance Agency. For decades, the Ron J. Pressemer Insurance Agency has been located right on Indianapolis Boulevard, serving all your insurance needs. The Pressemer Agency specializes in a wide range of insurance products and services, including auto, home, business, life, and much more. The Pressemer Agency serves thousands of people and businesses throughout Chicagoland and the Midwest. Call Ron or Ronnie today at 219-844-0103. They're here to protect what matters most to you.
Calumet Brewing, Michelob Ultra, the official sponsor of the PGA, is a superior light beer with ultra-smooth taste. This refreshingly crisp light lager has only 95 calories and 2.6 carbs, making it the perfect beer on the golf course or at the 19th hole. Check out the new Ultra Zero with only 29 calories, making it the perfect zero alcohol beer for any time of the day. Head over to the Cal Brew or Michelob Ultra websites and social media pages for more info on this great family of beers and enjoy the Michelob Ultra lifestyle with beers and cheers responsibly.
Are you facing legal challenges and don't know where to turn? Look no further than Kuklakis Law, your trusted source for legal advice in Indiana and Illinois. Do you need representation buying or selling real estate? Call Kuklakis Law. Do you need help forming your business? Call Kuklakis Law. Did you get injured in a car crash or at your job? Call Kuklakis Law. No matter what your legal issue, call 219-671-6347 for a free consultation. Who are you going to call? Kuklakis Law. Hablamos Español.
MCR Partners is your one-stop destination for top-notch expertise in economic development, finance, and planning. With a dedicated team geared up to tackle your projects head-on, they're your go-to comprehensive solution providers. Dive into the world of economic development with MCR Partners and let them guide you through the maze of opportunities. Stay in the loop and connected by hitting up their website at mcrpartnersllc.com, or for more tailored assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to Matt Reardon at 219-741-9511.
Tortillas Nuevo Leon is the gold standard in Mexican cuisine across the Midwest. Look for Tortillas Nuevo Leon's popular red and white label at your local grocery store and enjoy quality Mexican products made with local expertise.
Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia de todo corazón. Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia, de todo corazón.
All right, thanks to our sponsors, including our studio sponsor, Power in Indiana, Lake County.
Thanks. We got two great guests in the studio. I'm going to start off by introducing both of them with their ChatGPT introduction. The reason I say that is because if there's stuff that's wrong in here, point it out.
Blame ChatGPT.
Like if it says you're a federal prosecutor and you're not, point that out, please. But Mike Andrade, Democrat from Munster, District 12. Mike Andrade was elected to the Indiana House of Representatives in 2020 and represents District 12, covering parts of Lake County, including Munster and Highland. He is one of the few Latino voices in the Indiana General Assembly and has been a vocal advocate for public education, economic development, small businesses, and mental health services. Andrade serves on the Ways and Means Committee, Commerce, Small Business and Economic Development, and Government and Regulatory Reform. Those are, you've served on them, right?
How was it? How was ChatGPT?
Way off. I added Ways and Means on my own, by the way. All right, let's take all that out. All right. Okay. He brings business and marketing background to the legislature and is known for his energetic community engagement and coalition building across party lines.
I think yes.
That is 100% correct.
He's not Hispanic, though.
Sorry. So that's called a hallucination in ChatGPT world. Okay, let's do Kyle Pierce now. Kyle Pierce, Republican from Anderson, District 36, Ball State undergrad, McKinney Law School, lives in Anderson with his wife and two children. Kyle Pierce represents Indiana House District 36, which includes parts of Madison County and the city of Anderson. First elected in 2022, Pierce is a member of the Republican supermajority and serves on committees such as, here we go, Judiciary and Utilities.
Nope. Why would we ever use ChatGPT?
It works most of the time.
I can tell you the bio stuff I got of Representative Kyle was good because it was right off his website.
Yeah, it started great. So yes, I'm on.
You are married. You have two kids.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not married. Actually,
it'd be rough if it said you had 3 kids.
Yeah, right.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
No, so
that's according to 23andMe. I don't know. You know.
Yeah. So vice chair, financial institutions, elections, and then I just got added to environmental affairs.
That's awesome. You were elected. So this is your
second term.
Awesome, man.
Second term.
Welcome to the studio. Thanks for coming on Lockpod, Kyle.
Appreciate you coming on, Representative. It's awesome, and having you both is great. I mean, I know I've got Mike's koozie right under this bourbon bottle. I still have. So Kyle, you owe us some campaign swag, man.
Yeah, and I've actually watched for a couple of years.
I
don't watch it all the time, but I'll watch probably 2 or 3 shows a month. Usually when it's just you two, not when you have guests. And so when you ran in 22, is one of those things where I was running for office, and there's kind of the kindred spirits of the headaches of the candidate.
So we had to run across each other a couple of times.
I think we did. Like, it's one of those where we definitely went to those larger events where you see each other for like 2 seconds.
Right.
But I watched the show then, and then actually went back and saw some of your stuff from when you first started the podcast.
Thanks, man.
I enjoyed it. So
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Can you? Oh yeah, I was gonna go ahead.
How's everything going down there? I mean, you guys are obviously on break right now. I know you guys during break you get to enjoy yourselves. Like yesterday, you went to the White Sox game, from what I understand, right, Mike?
Yeah. So Kyle, first time up here in the region, I want to make sure he had a good experience.
Yes.
Why'd you take him to the White Sox game?
I think it was 10-0 Diamondbacks.
The Cubs were out of town.
The highs and the lows of the area, right? We saw the lows.
Yeah. So I wanted to see a great. So we went to
the Cubs were out of town. The Cubs were in first place, but they were out of town.
Well, that's good. So
he
you
got
spent on the south
to visit a little bit of the city of Hammond. Took him actually to 18th Street prior to the game.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
And he got to see City Hall and the new economic development improvements that are happening in downtown
That's
Hammond.
great, man.
We're working hard.
Yeah,
You know,
but first
really
of all,
good.
congratulations,
On.
Grandpa.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Grandpa
Thanks,
McDermott.
First one?
Oh, yeah. That's my
According to
favorite.
ChatGPT, you're for real.
According to ChatGPT says I have
He has
3.
6 grandchildren.
Don't tell Marissa.
Kyle, I was wondering, just out of curiosity, and it's great having you in, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
In person, because a lot of times we have guests on Skype, so it's really nice of you to come in. What got you into politics in 2022? Like, what made you run?
So my background, I'll kind of give it somewhat quickly. So went to Ball State, was a education, secondary ed history major, and I had a friend who was literally looking for bodies to go to an internship call-out meeting for a Congressman Luke Messer. And he was like, hey, I told him I'd try to get interns for the office. I have like 4 people who are really interested, but I need to have like 10 or 12 because the chief of staff's coming. And I said,
fill the room.
I'll fill the room and I'll be there. Went to it, and it was the spring of my freshman year. And they said, hey, if you apply, you can apply online, but you can apply across the nation. And so if you apply, email me, letting me know that you were at this meeting. Well, I applied, emailed, only one to do it. That emailed him. Ended up, from that one summer internship, ended up being with him for 3 years. I ran a political campaign in 2016.
Oh, cool.
Did association management. Ended up actually being a legislative assistant in 2019. So working for those who... in the Indiana House.
Okay.
So I actually had 3 of my colleagues were my staff assignments.
Wow.
So Martin Carball, Bob Heaton, and Bo Baird. So my colleagues now were folks who I had worked for. I always joke that their best year was 2019, and they've been down ever since. I think they appreciate that. But so from that experience of actually working on staff, when I decided to run in 2020, very similar situation. COVID gave me no favors.
Right.
Lost by 6% and decided.
No kidding.
Yeah. And
you and I do have a lot in common.
Yeah, it was rough because I support a lot of the president's policies, but one of them in 2020 was vote on election day. Well, we are a vote today. We're a vote by a vote centered county, which means there's less locations, but it's one of those things where you can go to anyone.
More time.
Right.
Yeah.
In 2020, we kind of had this transition year where the election board and the commissioners disagreed on should we have vote centers or vote counties.
Oh, wow.
So we had the vote machines for a vote center, which is 50% of a vote by precinct, but had a vote by precinct setup. So you had half the machines. So the last person voted at 1 a.m. You had 6-hour waits.
Oh, wow.
And so it killed me.
Cluster.
It killed me. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go back. The day after the election, I was like, you know what, we're going to do it and do it right, do a normal campaign. Ran in 22. I hit just short of, the team hit 42,000 doors. I hit 19,000 doors myself. And we won it 24 months later.
That's awesome.
Perseverance is a quality in politics. It's necessary.
You got to go. And
if you're not the type of person that perseveres, you're just not going to
get on the horse again.
Yeah, man. You got to when you lose, you got to. There's people that lose and they're like, "That's it, I'm done." That's when your career's over because you made a conscious decision to leave. Like, I'm too stupid to do that.
And you got to learn why you lost, right? Like my big thing was, hey, COVID made it so I couldn't do doors. So I hit 18,000.
You seem like the kind of guy that wants to talk face to face.
Oh, I love it.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I was stuck in a basement.
Oh yeah.
It was not my strength.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was one of those where decided second time in 22, and we won by 330 votes.
When you said you lost by 6% and won by 330, was that in a Republican primary or was that in general?
In the general. So
you flipped it.
So in a room full of Democrats.
Yes. Except John.
Plus John. It actually
whoever John is.
It was kind of like seeing a hero, right? I've watched the show so many times. I've never seen John in person. It was kind of cool seeing him in person.
John.
Nice. A little celebrity here. Same thing with Jill. Nice to meet you as well.
I love it when people come in and they know what's going on. Honestly, it's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I did flip a Democrat seat, 20-year incumbent, Terry Austin, very good person.
She is a nice person.
We just disagree on policy, and
of course.
And it's
I mean, the Democrats and Republicans don't agree on policy very much, but she is a good person. So are you, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where we kept it above board, both sides. Now, if we asked, in December of 22, we probably both say that the other side was mean, but we spent a lot of money both sides. We were both door knocking. We hit a lot of us hit doors multiple times, and so we flipped a seat, and then
how'd you do in 24? Bigger margin?
Yeah, so I won by 2% in 22 and 18% in 24.
Oh, wow.
So now you're entrenched. Good job.
I don't take it.
No, I know.
Take it like that.
No, that's great. No, you're accepted. How about that? That's a better word.
So how did the two of you, maybe Representative Andrade, this is a good question. How did you and Representative Kyle become friendly and forge good relationships down in the State House.
So we both, and that's where Chad GTP got it wrong, or we both serve on the Financial Institution Committee, and I have the honor of being the ranking minority member. Representative Pierce is the vice chair of that committee now, and that's where we started to work together. You know, when you're in committee, depending on which committee, there's some of the committees that have a lot of heavy load. And especially, for instance, this past session, it was a budget year for us. It's the biannual budget. We have $44 billion in our budget biannually. And if you're in a Ways and Means Committee, we're meeting every day for hours. I mean, there was one night that we were getting out at 11:30 at night, Eastern time. And so in those committees, you get to get familiarized and work a lot with your colleagues across the aisle, especially us as Democrats. For the region and the people that don't know, in the House of Representatives in our state, 70 Republicans, 30 Democrats. On the Senate is 40 Republicans, 10 Democrats. So we are the super minority.
That means you're on more committees, too, as a result of the fewer number of Democrats,
Not on the House necessarily, and the Senate did is because they have a lot less members. I mean, there's only 10 of them.
Yeah, at least we're double digits now.
Double-digit.
We're in double digits now. We were at 9 for a while. So that
but on the House, you know, depending on leadership and all that stuff. But, you know, going back to we have to work across the aisle if we're going to get anything done. And that's how Representative Pierce and I got to work together. And in one of the many conversations, I found out that he was a fan of Lockpot, of Mayor Todd specifically.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey, could I ask you guys, I want to like sort of spicing this up a little bit, because I noticed something yesterday that was interesting to me is, you know, we've been talking about the tolling proposal, and I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot at all, because I never do that to guests, right? We appreciate you guys being here. But something I found interesting was, obviously, this whole tolling idea is coming from the top. I think if you listen to what our governor's talking about, Governor Braun is talking about tolling, and I think his rationale, if I were sitting in Governor Braun's shoes, is we don't have enough maintenance money to pay for the roads that we have now. It's not going to get better under the current system, especially with electric vehicles that aren't paying their fair share. So tolling is the answer, according to Governor Braun.
Give me options, right?
Right. And obviously we've been panning that on Lockpot, and we have a couple videos with hundreds of thousands of views panning the tolling idea, okay? So it's coming from the governor. I think the governor's probably got a good policy reason why he thinks it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good political reason, but policy-wise, I think the governor's on the right page as far as justifying why he thinks it's necessary. I don't agree personally, but so obviously the governor and his team would normally like be consistent. And now I see Micah Beckwith, our lieutenant governor, comes out yesterday with the following tweet. This is the lieutenant governor. He says, Indiana is making history as the first state to approve tolls on all interstates. That's an article from WNDU. And Micah Beckwith, the lieutenant governor, comes out with a tweet that says, "This is a hard pass from me. Tolling our interstates is a form of taxation on another financial burden that Indiana Republicans want to put on Hoosiers. Call your state reps and state senators and tell them to end this nonsense right now. Don't Illinois my Indiana." From the lieutenant governor. How is that going to sit well with his boss, the governor?
I guess, the question I kind of have is like, do you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of inside baseball and stuff, but just from the outside, do you guys feel a tension between the lieutenant governor and the governor? Is there any?
Seems like
do you
it,
see
right?
why there's? Do you know why that like he
Mike,
would come
what do you
out
think?
like this? And
so first of all, I voted against the tolling bill. I actually did an amendment in Ways and Means in the House committee. So I sat on the Roads and Transportation Committee, and in the House committee, we all supported the bill because there was some provisions in there that helped Democrat districts.
Mm-hmm.
So we in good faith worked with the chairman of the committee, Jim Pretzel, which he's very good to work with, and we bipartisan in a way said, hey, we're going to move this bill in good faith that there's going to be some adjustments and we move along. Once it got to Ways and Means in the second round of the bill of being moved, I put an amendment to exclude Lake County and Porter County, I-94. We already have I-90.
Right.
We already have Klein Avenue Toll Road. And so I was like, this is not good. Then on the House floor, I also put an amendment to remove that language in it and keep everything else in that bill at least. That didn't, of course, work. But two observations here. I didn't even know he tweeted on this, but one of them is call your state reps and state senators and tell them to end this nonsense right now. Where was this tweet back when we were in session? I'm sorry, Lieutenant Governor, with all due respect, you are the president presiding on the Senate, and you know this bill went from the House to the Senate. When this bill was on the Senate, these were the discussions that we were having on the they were having on the Senate side. So, Lieutenant Governor, with all due respect, where were you several months ago when this bill went to the Senate? You could have been calling out
and he was
the
presiding
legislators,
on it,
and you were presiding on it. now we're out of session. The bill has passed. The governor has signed it into law. The governor already says he's going to do that waiver, right, with the federal authorities. And so there's nothing that we could.
Do you think the governor's pissed off about this? Like, do these guys like each other, Mike?
I think that there's a disconnect between the governor and the lieutenant governor, and that's more of I'm going to throw the ball here to Representative Pierce as a Republican because this is an internal battle between them.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
No, you're good. I mean, I think, we have a convention set up to get the nominee, and he ran a year before the race, and even
he actually ran for lieutenant governor.
He ran for lieutenant governor, and so with that, I think whoever the governor candidate was going to be, they were they didn't have their own stamp on it, and so and he said he was going to separate himself at times, and so that's what he chose to do. I would say and talking on the policy itself, part of what the bill did was saying that you don't need to go to the state general assembly for approval individually. I think the headline is. I'm not going to use the word misleading because it sometimes has connotations that they're attempting to mislead. But the bill did not sit here and say we're going to have tolling in all these different streets. It's saying it opens it
gives the option.
Exactly, and so it's one of those things where.
But did you guys take yourselves out of that? So the General Assembly doesn't need to be consulted. It's just the governor's decision at this point, right?
Well, the governor has the ability to go to the feds and ask for permission. And so there is discussions of, do you allow when it was highway by highway? Sometimes you have regional discussions. Some of the highways. We're up here today. I've only been up here 4 or 5 times my entire life.
Right.
And so some of those discussions where why are we individually voting in Anderson for some of this area? Now you guys are different. Right next to Chicago, I can understand different policy positions where, hey, there's the economic corridors. But other parts of the state, some of those decisions can be made by the Department of Transportation and the governor with local units and not having to kind of work through the session. So I think it's a wait and see. The governor, I think, needs to make his proposal of why different streets should have tolling if he decides to do it at all. He seems like he's interested in doing it. I think he's going to need to sell to the public of why XYZ street needs it, and he's not done that yet, and so I'm going to wait and see where it goes.
Hey, John, could you put the next one up also? It's just to follow the same thing. Another Diego Morales, also the Indiana Secretary of State, who's also a Republican, I imagine supporter of the governor. Diego Morales comes out with a tweet on the same article yesterday. Toll roads hurt our Hoosier businesses. Let's keep Indiana open for business, not bogged down by tolls.
I thought it was curious that it came out the same day as Lieutenant Governor Beckwith's
I agree with
tweet.
You.
And it was
to the same article.
Yeah, it just seems...
Same kind of message.
I mean, maybe the question is like, do you feel there's like a disconnect in the party on your end, Kyle?
I think there's always been in both sides, in both
we do
parties.
too, by the way.
Oh yeah,
there's a huge disconnect in our party.
There's always
you're looking at one right here. I am disconnected,
and so it's one of those things where there's always fights, not even on issues like this. So I would say it's hard. I sometimes don't take tweets in a vacuum because it's okay. What's part of the larger conversation going on? Again, it's one story, and I think. This story, this one article has caused a lot of conversation. My question is it the article or is it the policy? And right now it seems like the article is the discussion point, and let's get beyond that and let's talk about the policy. And that's where I think we need to have a longer discussion. Because when you look at the headline, I agree. If we govern by headlines, it's not a good headline. But I think we need to look beyond just headlines and actually govern based off policy decisions. And that's where I kind of it's wait and see. They've talked. I'll wait a little longer.
And I'm happy that the executive branches here are finally saying, hey, the Democrats were right. Like Andrade, who said, hey, we should not be tolling. So I'm happy to see that there's finally some executive branch of government looking out for us and saying, hey, we shouldn't be tolling. I'll tell you what, if I-94 and I-65 get tolled, we have a Democrat governor here in the next election.
Oh, we'll see.
But here's what I'll say.
I said that on Lockpod.
And I might be looking at the next person who's running for governor.
I honestly feel, Mike, if that happens, if we do go widespread tolling in Indiana, it's going to have an effect.
I think it's one of those things that hits the kitchen table, and then that all of a sudden wakes up voters, and that's the danger of it, I think. I mean, one of the, you brought up something, Representative Kyle, about things that you kind of wait and see attitude, right? And one of those things like up here that a lot of local governments, I'm sure local governments around the state are thinking about is Senate Bill 1 and how that impacts.
And that's the local government efficiency bill. It's going to take millions of dollars from across governments all across Indiana.
I mean, tens of millions of dollars up here to some governments.
My government's about $8 million.
Yeah, and
that
so
I'm in charge of.
And then it kind of kicks in 2 years, right? So in my mind, I was thinking, God, is the legislature thinking, all right, we're going to pass this now in this the way it looks now, but we've got a little bit of time to tinker with it and fix it so it doesn't potentially impact local government. So I was curious on your take on it.
So when you say it doesn't impact it, it'll have an impact for next year. So for example, like Hammond, from this year to next year, from actual dollars, you'll still go up $4 million. I think it's $4.1 million next year. Then you'll go up $2.4 the next year. I looked it up before I came on the show.
Look at him.
And so it's and then the drop off you're seeing is calendar year 28. What's hard to do when you're doing estimates for local government because it's based off property tax. You can do the first year pretty easily because those assessments have already come out. The next year you can kind of do not guesstimation, but kind of
based on trend.
It's more of a guess. Yeah.
When you get into 28, you're doing a trend on a trend, and that trend has to be based off something. So they were looking at were economic trends in March and April, and it had that kind of more negative forecast. We'll know in a year from now what that fiscal year, or I keep saying fiscal year, it's calendar year 28. I think we'll know, and we can address things as needed.
Because Kyle, I'll be honest, because going where Kevin was coming from, that's why I haven't complained at all about SB1. Yeah. I haven't bitched about it here. I'm like, this is so dramatic. It's so devastating to local government that if I say anything, it doesn't matter. But I think I'm going to let the Republican mayors, I'm going to let the Republican town council speak to the governor, and I think that's where the pressure is going to come from.
Well, I mean, we got a message that people want tax relief, and the concern is that elderly and those on fixed income, property tax doesn't care. You can lose your job on January 1st. And if you stay in that house the entire year, guess what? Your property tax does not go down a penny.
True story.
If you have income tax, on the income tax side, if you only worked on, worked on January 1st and you got fired at the end of the day, you'll only have tax on that depending on how much you made. And then if you have sales tax, how much are you actually buying? And so income tax does not care. It has no emotion. It can be ruthless to you because if you're still in that house,
you need property tax.
Property tax.
Property tax. I just want to make sure.
No, we knew what you were talking about. Yeah.
But so the property tax doesn't care, and that's where I think we're looking at is, and so what we're doing is we're taking by end of 2031, 2/3 of property will be exempt from property tax, and it's allowing it for folks where you're having the tax on if you're not making money, income tax doesn't impact you. If you're not buying as much, sales tax doesn't impact you as much. How do we address that one that does not care about you, and that's going to tax you no matter what? And we're hearing a lot of that, especially as you have an aging population, and that's not just in here in the United States.
You see that in Hammond a lot.
Yeah.
The 95-year-old widow that lives in the home, husband's been gone for a decade, and she's having trouble making it. I see that,
And so, but it's always a balance, and that's, where we got to was in the first 2 years, you are going to see increases. Now, were they as large of increases as if we did nothing? No, they're not, but it's also trying to find that balance of how do we give tax relief for that 95-year-old, but also make sure the schools run, that the police can as well staff and things like that.
That's a really good. I mean, I think that's right. You just basically that's where the rubber meets the road on that.
I wish the governor spoke like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly the way that you need to say it. I think that the legislature needs to say it because that makes sense. But I think one of the things we talked about on here is that the mayor's proud about the fact that his assessed value in his city has gone up significantly since he's been mayor.
That's my job.
And part of that,
make Hammond more valuable.
Right? And part of that is the fact that yes, the older folks that live in those homes, they have now more value in their homes, right? Whereas 10 years ago or 15 years ago, their houses weren't worth nearly as much. So because we've had just like the rest of the states, had a really good housing boom, right? We see a lot of people from Illinois coming over, and so in a way, we're thinking like, oh, that's good because now we can have more taxes to provide more services and make sure our everything's working right. So that's kind of a little bit of a counter to that. I mean, we get that
Phil Taylor, on frequent appearance on Lock Pod, had a house that he sold. He owned it for, let's say, 10 years and a couple, right? His house doubled in value from the time he bought it to when he sold it, and Phil moved to my neighborhood. But his house literally doubled in value during that time. That, for me, is like, good job, Mayor.
Yeah.
That's my job, is to make that home
Yeah, so 1% cap in our Constitution, I think, gosh, taxes are already lower. Taxes are already low.
So here's what I'll say, though. When you're 25 to 55,
you're an earner.
That story you just said is amazing, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. When you're 95, does Miss Jackie want to move and say, hey, I'm going to double this money, I'm going to double this money, and then guess what? In 5 years from now, when I'm 100, I'm about to double that house.
Right. I get it.
And then we're going to talk about getting an investment property. Well, 105, I don't know if she's going to be managing that kind of portfolio. And so that's the issue is when you're looking at folks like that. And so it's one of those things where I don't disagree that there are benefits, and it's great that you've done a good job of expanding the economic value of this area. And like I said, last night we had a good tour, and we saw a lot of the work you're doing, and good job on that. And you don't need my thanks, but
I appreciate it.
Good job. But it is one of those things where it's tough, where you have folks that don't have those those incomes that aren't rising, and so how do you balance? And I think that's where we got to a place where it wasn't just we're gonna just cut off how much money you're getting. We're gonna try to have more of a formulaic system going from a levy-based system to a more of a rate-based system. So there's more. You have a higher understanding when your council decides, we're actually going to lower our rate this year. It actually has an impact on the dollar amount that's going away from the individual versus you lower your levy. That doesn't mean their taxes are going down. Yep. We're trying to get away from that system where, hey, if your council says, we can have 0.5 less, we can actually see 0.5 less on the tax bill.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. What's your favorite moment from the past session? Or your most ridiculous moment in the State House? How about that?
Are they the same or are those different?
Same thing. I'll let you go first. Let me think on it for a second.
Just like stuff that people would find funny that we don't read about in the papers, or just anything like crazy happen.
So this was a long session. Mm-hmm. It was a budget year, and a budget year we're there for a longer period of time than a short session. This budget year was very unique for several reasons. Number one, we had a new governor coming in. Mm-hmm. And so when you have a new governor coming in, their ask is different. You're getting adjusted to what the new governor wants. Also, we found out, right, surprise, surprise, that we had a $2.4 billion surplus, projected surplus shortage. So we had to adjust with that as well. It wasn't funded the way we should have. Get things for our state when it comes to the mechanisms that we typically fund public education, higher ed, and so on. So this year, it was just, on my end, my caseloads went up about 28% higher with constituent issues. Also with the federal, with the new administration coming in, we had a lot of funding that was not allocated for us on the state level. There were some uncertainties. So I don't know, I could say there was anything that was uniquely off the cuff that could say, it was something funny. I think it was a lot of work for us.
I was about to say, if that's the funniest I got, it was not that funny.
That's a boring session.
I was laughing my ass off.
It was a challenging session, at least on my end as a Democrat. And we had to work harder to be able to just get through the session. Mm-hmm. But I do got to say, on a positive note, Senate Bill 464 that came through our committee, it was a bipartisan effort, and this is how government should work. And I'm just going to share momentarily a story without taking all the time here. I had a police chief from Lake County reach out to me last August. Said, Mike, we're having an issue with the Dodge vehicles that we purchased. They're causing us maintenance failures. Yep. We found out with the state that had the same issue. We brought legislation to the Consumer Protection Division. They were not able to do anything about it because we found out that state police and local law enforcement are not part of statute. I said, well, we're in session. Why don't we get to work on it now? We had Senate Bill 464 coming to the House in our committee. I worked with Representative Pierce and the Chairman Tesk, and I said, why don't we amend the bill? We got the language in there, and we already had bipartisan work on it to say, look, we're going to get this language by consent. There was 3 amendments on this bill. Mine was the last amendment. I present the amendment, and we knew that there was one member there that could derail this. Mm-hmm. And we were expecting that. Sure enough, that one member started speaking out, well, how come we don't do A, B, and C? And I said, look, let's stay focused on this language, on getting this fixed for state and local police agencies.
And you got it done.
And we got it done. I looked at Representative Pierce. Representative Pierce looked at Tesca, says, we're taking this amendment by consent. He says by consent, and we took it by consent. We got it passed.
That's how things work.
And that's bipartisan work. That is something that affects all of us in the community. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's an issue that affects our local law enforcement when it comes to having their vehicles out there to keep our community safe.
Wonderful. Good job.
How about you, Kyle?
If you asked me a couple weeks ago, I probably could give you a funny one, but it's just kind of it's gone through. But I will say one of the fun or more interesting things was, so I had a bill. The second year I had this bill was on companies like 23andMe, Ancestry.com. It's a policy at the federal level. The feds have never really taken it on. Now in the last 2 weeks they have. On user protections. And so I had a bill saying, hey, if you use these services, you need to have protections. And so I had, so I was the author.
You mean like they have to protect my DNA?
Yeah.
I've done 23andMe.
If you want to get it deleted, if you want it saying, hey, I don't want it used for certain things. Now, some of the companies, I'll give a quick story. Do you guys remember the Golden State Killer? They used the DNA.
I was just gonna.
The year after that was done, 23andMe and Ancestry.com saw an 60% drop in usership, which is slightly concerning.
There's a lot of mass murderers.
Murderers.
Like, what are you doing?
I got some kids out there. I don't want to be found. You know.
And so they took on some steps towards getting better policies for users in terms of their protections and making security, but nothing really at the state level. So I was the House author. The Senate author was Senator Andrea Hunley, Democrat.
Yeah.
And the idea is this is a bipartisan issue. Last year, we got the Senate passed version through the Senate, but not the House. It didn't move in the House. This year, we got it past the House relatively easily, but it was still a concept kind of thing where this could be an issue. Well, in the middle of session, 23andMe files for bankruptcy, and now they're having hearings.
For you, man.
Yeah, they have hearings in Congress saying,
what
about the users?
Yeah.
Look at that, man.
And
You're like way ahead of the issue.
And so it was one of those things where it was a concept that I was arguing in January. By March and April, you had the Attorney General's office and others saying, how are we going to do this? And it worked out so well.
Good for you, man.
It was one of those things where, it was a bipartisan issue. It had, I think, maybe one vote out of 150 or something like that. And it was one of those really cool moments where a concept actually went into, oh, this is why we need this.
You're a young
real
guy,
time.
Right?
31, I was like...
coming into the State House as a 31-year-old attorney, do you think that helps you a lot? Like looking at things differently, like 21, 23
so I don't practice. I was writing books. I'm not a member of the bar. But so I was elected 29. I was the youngest member of the General Assembly when I was elected. And I think really serving as a staff member, because I understand, you can have an idea and I can get it on paper on the bill.
Gotcha.
But does that mean the bill is good at all?
Right.
And I think I was probably a session or two I got to skip in terms of, here's this not this well thought out idea versus, hey, let's actually spend a little bit more time. Let's get this in a good spot, and then let's put it out. So that bill is a great example where last year it was pretty good. Spent it over the summer to kind of get a little bit better, and then when it came game time, and we actually did need to have a policy, response. We weren't sitting there in the conceptual land. We'd actually focused on it and actually done the work. And so I do think it did help quite a bit. I think the staffing experience, and then there's not that many folks with legal backgrounds. I think a lot of folks assume that you're going to have these lawyers. I think in the House, I think there's 9 or 10 combined with both caucuses.
That's crazy. I would have guessed way more.
I would have too.
Back about in the 1950s, there was actually an article in it talked about in Congress about 2/3 were 2/3 were lawyers, and now the number is a fraction of that. And the same thing here. Used to be a lot of lawyers. Now we have a dog groomer, we have nurses, we have teachers. It's kind of
back in the 1950s, it was all men
lawyers
too, and now it's like very integrated.
It's good to have a variety. I think. So. Before Mayor Tom wraps it up, Kyle, I just want to thank you. 2 things. One, obviously being here up in Lockpod, but second, we talk about Lake County and the region being kind of a unique place. And I love it when folks like Representative Andrade bring, like last year he brought Chairman Thompson up. This year he's bringing you up. I really appreciate you making the trip up here to see the perspective so that when you hear things about what's going on in the region, you kind of have a better feel for it. So thank you.
And could I add to that also? We want a lot more Republicans to come on Lockpod. We want that. That's why I make it a point. We always try to treat our guests very well. And we had Red on here, obviously Kyle, but for some reason, a lot of Republicans aren't comfortable coming in here. So I just want to say thank you, Kyle.
Thank you. I'll put in the good word. I'll give them the 30 episodes to watch. Mayor Tom. Don't bring up the school board.
I'm equal opportunity, man. I'll bash my party just like I'll bash the other party. So
I've seen a couple of them.
Here's the question that we should have asked Kyle. Kyle, what is your favorite Lockpod episode of Mayor Tom?
Should have asked that.
He's not going to like it. He's not. It's going to be the first 2 episodes.
I was going to say WTF happened.
But it was I tell candidates that
I was vulnerable.
I've given it to candidates to watch that.
That's awesome.
Of one, you still were alive the next day. You came back and you continue to do stuff because to your point you mentioned earlier, a lot of candidates they lose and it's over and it's like no. How are you going to learn from how you lost?
Thank you.
How are you going to identify where you lost and then fix those and address those issues? And it's actually
Kevin and I did those. I honestly wasn't trying to cuss, but I cussed a lot. But I was vulnerable.
It was
we were on the air.
It was definitely therapy for Mayor Tom.
It was totally therapy.
It was good therapy for him.
And I lost him 20 months later. It was therapy for me, kind of going through it as well.
So. You guys are commiserating. Awesome.
Everybody told me I was going to like you. Andy Miller called me up today. He's like, Kyle's on your show. You're going to love this guy. So thank you very much.
Yeah, he was nervous I was coming on. I think we'll be okay.
No, Andy's always nervous.
He was nervous. He was nervous when Tom started posting on Facebook.
Andy's always nervous. That's I'm surrounded by nervous people. Kevin and Andy are good. So
that's lawyers for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Wrap it up.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Jill, thank you for coming in and covering for Lynn's today. We appreciate you very much.
Sure.
Jay Vez, appreciate you also. Thanks. Great job today. Mike Andrade, multiple appearances on Lockpod. I don't know.
You're like the representative of Lockpod.
I'm going to say over under of 10.
First time in the new studio, by the way. Great job.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah,
Thanks for coming back. It's good to see you.
Thank
Kyle,
you.
awesome, man.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to Lockpod. We'll look forward to bringing you back. Kevin Chandler, again, another high-quality episode coming
Thank you.
from the locomotive. We went long today, but it was well-warranted. So thanks for listening to Lockpod. We'll be back on Friday. Not sure who our guest is. Not sure if we have a guest, but we'll be back on Friday with another high-quality Lockpod episode. Season 15, episode 17
You got it.
is in the books. We'll be back on Friday. Take care, everybody. Lockpod's out.